Hey there friends, how's it going? So welcome to this first video where we're going to talk about the 12 notes, right? And when it comes to music theory, this is the topic I think is the absolute most helpful starting point, because everything else we tackle later, whether it's scales or chords or just finding our way around the guitar or the keyboard, anything you want to learn, you need to know how these notes work, the order of the 12 notes, the fact that they repeat, how to find your way around with whole steps, half steps, and all that sort of thing. So this will just take a few minutes, and I'll cover the must-know concepts and give you a few must-know terms you want to know as well, just to make sure you can follow along with whether it's my lessons or any other teacher you have, whether it's in real life or on the internet. A lot of these concepts you really need to know, okay? So the overview of the 12 notes looks like this. So in Western music, we have this idea of the 12 notes, and they are named as follows. I'm going to start at A, since that's the first letter in the alphabet, right? But A is not a special note, right? You could start on any note and sort of go through. But the important part is the order of these notes. These notes always follow a specific order, just like the numbers on a clock do, right? If you're at 3 o'clock and you jump forward an hour, that always takes you to 4 o'clock. The numbers on a clock don't rearrange themselves and are in different orders at different times of day or in different houses. It doesn't work like that. And it's the same thing with the 12 notes. So let's look at the notes in order. We'll start at A. Now, you're going to notice that a couple things. Number one, it goes A through G as far as the letters we use. Now, after G, what's going to happen is if we keep going, things are going to start back over at A again. Okay, so there's this idea of the notes being a cycle, a circle. You can go in any direction, right? You're also going to notice these things called sharps and flats, right? Now, these are sort of symbols which can be part of a note name, so A sharp or B flat, for example, is the second note here as we look at left to right. So we have A, then we have A sharp or B flat. Those are two different ways of referring to the same note. Later on in future lessons, I'll talk about when you would use A sharp as the name versus B flat. It's sort of like saying something is after breakfast or before lunch. Those are two different ways of saying the same thing, but depending on context and conversation, you use one versus the other. It's the same way in music, so don't sweat it right now. Just look left to right. We have A sharp or B flat. We have B. Then we go directly to C. You're going to notice between B and C and between E and F, there's no sharps and flats. That's one thing you really, really, really need to remember. If you're ever on a B note and you move one note higher in pitch, that's always going to take you to a C. And vice versa, or likewise, I should say, if you're on an E and you go one note up in pitch, you're always going to get to an F. Okay, there's no sharps and flats between. So we have A sharp or B flat, B, C sharp or D flat, D sharp or E flat, E, F sharp or G flat, G, and then G sharp or A flat. Now here's the thing. If we keep going, if we go past G sharp and we go up a note, like I said, we're going to be on A, and it's going to start all over again, right? And it keeps going up. Likewise, if we go down to that first A we looked at, right? This is an A on the guitar. If I was to go down in pitch, one note, I would go backwards. So I would be either, you could call this A flat or G sharp. And I go backwards and I'm on G. And then G flat or F sharp. And then F. And then what is one note lower than F in pitch? It is E. Now on a guitar, this thickest string, if you play it open, if you just pluck the string by itself, this is the lowest in pitch we will get. Now pitch is an important concept when it comes to music. So we talk about pitch. Think about a ship's horn. It's low, or a whale singing, right? It's like a low rumble, right? Certain singers, Johnny Cash, Colter Wall, they have very deep, low voices. Likewise, the opposite of low in pitch is high in pitch. So this is like, the highest in pitch note on a guitar is going to be the thinnest string way up the fretboard. On a piano, if I turn on this keyboard here, right? If I play the note on the far right of a piano, that's the highest in pitch a piano will give me. This is the lowest in pitch. Okay? So this idea of pitch, and as we move up all these notes, we're simply going to get these 12 notes repeating over and over and over again. Now, on the topic of pitch, I want to make it sure it's clear that when we say go up or go higher, that means go up in pitch or go higher in pitch. Okay? So if I say, hey, we're on the 5th fret of the thinnest string, and we were to go 2 frets higher, what that means is, right, higher in pitch. Okay, so that's an important thing. Likewise, if we say down or lower, that's going to mean right? It's going to mean go lower in pitch. Now, when it comes to the 12 notes and the musical alphabet, when we go forward in the alphabet, we're going up in pitch. When we go backwards in the alphabet, we're going down in pitch, okay? So the helpful way to look at the notes in this regard is in a circle format, right? And this helps reinforce the idea that, number one, the notes repeat. As you go around, you just get to the beginning again and you keep repeating, right? And as we go clockwise around the circle, right, we start on A, the pitch is going to get higher. But if we were to start on A and go counterclockwise, right, etc., the pitch is going to get lower. So it's important you understand the idea of pitch and the fact that these 12 notes are always in a certain order and that they repeat, okay? Now, technically, there's no first note or last note. Ultimately, A is just, the first letter in the alphabet, but the note A is not special, right? It's no better or worse than any of the other notes. We can build a major chord or a minor chord or a major key. Like, we can do everything with every individual note, right? They're all equal in their potential. I want to make sure that's clear for you, okay? So really quick, let's look at some terminology we're going to need when it comes to these 12 notes, right? These are some must-know terms here. We already talked about pitch. That's how high or low a certain sound is. So we have that one covered. Sharp and flat, really quick. I want to tackle these to make sure you understand that. Sharp, in the simplest terms, I would describe it as higher in pitch, usually by one note, right? So if this is A and we go higher in pitch, the next note is going to be A sharp, right? A to A sharp, G to G sharp, right? Sometimes if you're singing, someone might say, hey, you're a little bit sharp. What that means is you're a little bit higher than you should be, okay? Now, the opposite of sharp is flat. That is the opposite. It's lower, right? So we have A, and if we go down a note, that's A flat, okay? G, G, flat, right? Now, if someone says, hey, you're a little bit flat, it means that you're lower in pitch than you should be, okay? So that's an important idea to understand, that we have notes, right? This note is A flat, but flat can also be used as a term just to mean going lower in pitch, all right? So those two terms are worth knowing. Next is this idea of an octave. An octave simply refers to any note, if we go up to the next version of that note, right? This is an E, and this is an E, right? This is an A, and this is an A. This is a G, and this is a G. I'm basically moving up an octave in all those places. Now, if I was to play the first couple notes of a scale, and someone told me, hey, play those same notes, but play them an octave higher, I would basically look on the fretboard and find those same notes and play them an octave higher. I'm playing the same notes here, G, A, B, C, D, G, A, B, C, D, but this is an octave apart. This is an octave lower than this, right? And this is an octave higher than, okay? So when the term octave is used, it's gonna mean either a note or a melody, usually that's played an octave higher or lower, meaning take the same notes but just move them to the next version of those notes. It's really easy to see this on a piano because the piano notes repeat, the pattern repeats. You just play the same notes down low, you play them up high, and you get the same thing. So that's the idea of an octave. Now, some important ones here. Half steps, whole steps, semitones, and tones. This is really important and worth knowing because lots of teachers are going to use this terminology, okay? A half step refers to take any note and then go one fret away or one note away in either direction. So if I'm on the 5th fret and I go up a half step, that would be the 6th fret, right? But if I was on the 5th fret and I go down a half step, so it's down in pitch, but a half step just means one note difference, right? A whole step is going to be 2 notes. Okay, this is a whole step from 5th to 7th fret. Likewise, if I went down a whole step, it would be from 5th to 3rd. Okay? This is just the way it is, but it's an important thing to know because this idea of half steps and whole steps is going to come up a lot in just general music. So it's worth being aware of the terms. Now, other way to say the same ideas is tone and semitone. A tone is another way of saying whole step. It's a 2-note difference, right? So this is up a whole step or a tone, and this is down in pitch by 1 tone. Okay? Likewise, we have semitone, right? That's just one fret. It's like a half step. So an important part you might see here is like, hey, if we're on a note and say we're on the open E string and we want to say go up a whole step, then go up another whole step, right? I'm starting on this open E string, I go up a whole step, I go up another whole step. You could say the same thing, start on this note, go up a tone, go up another tone, right? That's 2 tones. Whereas if you said go up a half step or a semitone, you would just go 1 fret. This might seem like a kind of a weird thing, but again, this is a very, very, very well used convention. And when we get to scales later and how scales are built, you know, we're going to hear whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step. That's how the major scale is built, using that one pattern. So you really want to have these terms, just be aware of them and understand what they mean, right? So half step and semitone, that just means a 1-note jump in either direction, up in pitch or down in pitch. A whole step or a tone means a 2-note jump in either direction, okay? So make sure you're aware of those. Now, a few quick tips if you want to practice naming the 12 notes and getting the sort of order of things under your belt. Number 1 is make sure you can remember that the A through G, you know, alphabet pattern. After you get to G, things just restart at A. That's an important thing to understand, right? Likewise, you'll want to remember that B and C have no note in between. E and F have no sharps or flats in between either, right? So with those 2 notes, you're going to just go right from E to F, and you're going to go right from B to C. And if you're going down in pitch, it's the same thing. You go F, down to E, and then E flat, D, D flat, C, down to B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, down to E, and vice versa, right? Being able to sort of remember those sharps and flats where they occur and where they don't occur is really important. One thing that I think you can do that's really helpful is if you take any of the 6 strings on a guitar, right? E, A, D, G, B, E. You could just go up 1 string. And if you go up to the 11th fret, you're going to get all 12 notes on any 1 string just by going from open up to the 11th fret. Let's try that, for example, on the 5th string. Okay, this is A. 1st fret is going to be A sharp. 2nd fret is going to be B. Next fret is going to be C, right? 3rd fret is C. 4th fret is C sharp, D, D sharp, E. F is the 8th fret, F sharp, G is the 10th fret, G sharp is the 11th fret, and then at 12th fret, we're back at A. So the open string and the 12th fret are always going to have the same note, right? This is the A, open 5th string, A, 12th fret, 5th string. This is true for all of the 6 strings. So you can practice that exercise. Get my PDF cheat sheet. It has the fretboard map in there if you want to follow. But just in general, being able to take any note and then move up or down in pitch and know what the note is really important. Because sometimes you're playing a song or a chord or something, right? If I know this is a C chord, and I know the bass note's a C, and I want to go 2 frets up from this bass note, well, what's that note? Well, this is a C, this is a C sharp, this is a D. So this is a D right here. This 5th fret is a D. So understanding these 12 notes is really, really helpful and important and worth doing. So I hope this is helpful for you. Again, get the PDF cheat sheet, print it out, put it on your wall, keep it on your device, keep it nearby. If this isn't something you've really memorized, it's worth doing because everything we do after this is going to be based on us having an understanding of these 12 notes, the order of notes, and understanding how to find our way around. All right, so thanks for watching, and let's get into the next one.